Virginia has enacted a landmark heat illness prevention standard for outdoor workers, known as 16 VAC 25. This comprehensive regulation requires all outdoor employers in the Commonwealth to provide water, shade, rest breaks, and acclimatization for their employees. The standard was adopted by the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry, or DOLI, and takes effect in July of 2026. It covers construction workers, agricultural laborers, landscapers, utility crews, and anyone working outdoors in Virginia. As stated on the official website of the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry at doli.virginia.gov, this standard represents a major step forward for worker safety in the Mid-Atlantic region. You can find the full text of 16 VAC 25 by following the QR code on this slide. Why did Virginia need this law? Because Virginia summers are dangerously hot. Heat indexes routinely exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit from June through September. According to the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, outdoor workers face 3 times the risk of heat-related death compared to indoor workers. Virginia ranks in the top 15 states for heat-related worker deaths nationally. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports hundreds of preventable worker deaths each year from heat. Heat illness progresses in stages from cramps and exhaustion to life-threatening heat stroke. A body temperature above 103 degrees Fahrenheit with confusion or unconsciousness requires immediate emergency medical attention. You can find official heat stress guidance from NIOSH at cdc.gov/NIOSH and from the EPA at epa.gov/climate-indicators. Scan the QR code on this slide for direct access. Here's what 16 VAC 25 specifically requires. First, water. Employers must provide potable drinking water at no cost to workers, at least 1 quart per worker per hour. Second, shade. Accessible shade that blocks at least 70% of direct sunlight must be available whenever workers are present. Third, rest breaks. At a heat index of 80 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, employers must encourage cool-down breaks. At 90 degrees or higher, mandatory paid 10-minute breaks in shade are required every 2 hours. Fourth, a written prevention plan detailing all procedures and emergency responses. Fifth, annual training for all outdoor workers and supervisors. These requirements are detailed in the official standard available on the Virginia DOLI website. Scan the QR code on this slide to read the full regulation text at doli.virginia.gov. The standard uses a smart 2-tier trigger system based on the heat index. The heat index is what the temperature feels like when humidity is factored in, and you can check it at weather.gov. Tier 1 activates at an 80-degree heat index. At this level, employers must make water and shade available, encourage breaks, and monitor workers for symptoms. Tier 2 activates at a 90-degree heat index. This is the high heat trigger. It requires mandatory paid 10-minute cool-down breaks in shade every 2 hours, plus a designated heat safety monitor on site and a buddy system where workers watch each other for symptoms. Direct sun exposure can add 15 degrees or more to the effective heat felt by workers, so shade is absolutely critical. The National Weather Service provides heat index forecasts for any location. Follow the QR code on this slide for direct access to weather.gov/safety/heat. Complying with 16 VAC 25 requires 5 concrete steps. Step 1. Write your prevention plan. Document your procedures, designate responsible personnel, and create emergency response protocols. Keep the plan at the worksite. Step 2. Provide water and shade. At least 1 quart of drinking water per worker per hour, and shade that blocks at least 70% of direct sunlight. Step 3. Enforce cool-down breaks. At a 90-degree heat index or higher, mandate those 10-minute paid breaks in shade every 2 hours. Supervisors must actively ensure breaks are taken. Step 4. Implement the acclimatization schedule. Step 5. Train and document. Train all outdoor workers annually and keep signed records for at least 3 years. The Virginia DOLI website at doli.virginia.gov has full compliance guidance. Scan the QR code on this slide for direct access to their resources. Virginia's heat law gives outdoor workers concrete enforceable rights. You have the right to drinking water, accessible shade, and cool-down rest breaks. Your employer cannot deny these protections. You can request shade at any time, even below the 80-degree threshold. You can report violations to the Virginia DOLI anonymously by calling area code 804-786-2376 or online at doli.virginia.gov. Retaliation is strictly prohibited under Virginia Code Section 40.1-51.2. Know the danger signs of heat illness. Heat exhaustion causes heavy sweating, weakness, nausea, and fainting. Heat stroke is a medical emergency with a body temperature above 103, confusion, and unconsciousness. This call 911 immediately. Look out for your coworkers and use the buddy system. You can find complaint forms and more information at doli.virginia.gov or by scanning the QR code on this slide. Acclimatization is one of the most critical requirements of the standard. According to the CDC and NIOSH, 70 to 80% of heat-related deaths occur during the first week on the job. New workers are 5 times more likely to suffer heat illness than experienced workers. That is why a gradual adaptation schedule is mandatory. The required 5-day schedule is as follows. Day 1, 20% of normal workload. Day 2, 40%. Day 3, 60%. Day 4, 80%. Day 5, and beyond, full workload. This schedule applies to all new outdoor workers regardless of age or fitness level. It also applies to workers returning after 7 or more consecutive days away from work. The body loses heat adaptation roughly as fast as it gains it. Document the acclimatization schedule for each worker. The NIOSH criteria document at cdc.gov/NIOSH provides the scientific basis for this requirement. Follow the QR code on this slide for the full NIOSH heat stress guide. Enforcement of 16 VAC 25 is handled by the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry. DOI conducts both routine and complaint-based inspections at outdoor work sites. A single worker complaint can trigger an immediate inspection. Civil penalties for violations can reach up to $13,653 per violation, and willful or repeat violations can reach $136,532 per violation under federal OSHA penalty structures. Criminal penalties apply for willful violations that result in a worker's death. Workers' compensation claims for heat illness also cost employers directly through higher premiums. A single heat stroke claim can cost $50,000 to $250,000 or more. Record keeping is essential. Maintain training records for 3 years, heat index logs, acclimatization schedules, and incident reports. DOLI inspectors will request these documents. You can find enforcement guidance at osha.gov or doli.virginia.gov. Scan the QR code for direct access to OSHA heat exposure resources. Let us recap the key points. Virginia's 16 VAC 25 heat illness prevention standard requires water, shade, rest breaks, and acclimatization for all outdoor workers. It uses a 2-tier trigger system based on the heat index. At 80 degrees, provide water, shade, and monitoring. At 90 degrees and above, mandatory 10-minute breaks every 2 hours with a designated heat safety monitor. Acclimatization is not optional. New and returning workers must follow the 5-day graduated schedule. Workers have the right to report violations anonymously without fear of retaliation under Virginia Code Section 40.1-51.2. Penalties for noncompliance can reach over $136,000 per violation. Prevention saves both lives and money. For official guidance, visit the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry at doli.virginia.gov, the CDC at cdc.gov, or the National Weather Service at weather.gov. Follow the QR codes throughout this presentation for direct access to all official sources. Thank you for watching, and stay safe in the Virginia heat.